Hello everybody, and welcome to another Flaming Dice Reviews video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a wonderful card drafting game by Smirk Dagger, and that is Nevermore. Nevermore. So we're going to briefly look at the rules, how the game plays, and I mean very briefly, and then we're going to get to my final thoughts and I'll tell you what I think about this game. It's probably more of a parrot than a raven. Let's take a look at what comes inside of the Nevermore box. And of course it's got a very nice looking artwork on the cover, which I really like. Then it has the rule book. Very nicely printed. Lots of nice artwork. Kitty cat appreciates it too. And then it has this very nice insert to sort your regular drafting cards and your magic cards. And then you have your tiles and your cubes. And these represent both your player's health and your victory points. And the first player to 6 victory points wins the game. In Nevermore, there are 5 suits of cards that are drafted. Starting at the top left is Radiance, at the top middle is Healing, the top right is Attack, bottom left is Victory, and the bottom right is Ravens. Now these are used in different ways while you're drafting, and the game is played out based on how many of these cards you end with in your final hand. For example, Radiance cards let you draw light magic, so they help you kind of gain an advantage over your opponents. Healing lets you obviously heal. Attack lets you attack other players. Victory gets you one step closer to winning the game by acquiring victory points. And then Ravens are kind of a double-edged sword. If you only have a couple of Raven cards in your final hand after the drafting phase is done, they're bad. They actually kill the other cards in your hand. However, if you have 3 or more Raven cards in your final hand, at the end of the round, you're going to have what's called Skulking Ravens. And if you have the most Skulking Ravens, or tied for the most Skulking Ravens, they allow you to get the Shadow Magic cards, which are super powerful and let you hurt your opponent. They also give you spells to cast as you're a Raven, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Players start the game with a health tile, seen on the right, and 5 health cubes. As a player takes damage, health cubes are removed to represent a loss of HP. Now, the most common ways to lose health are by winning the attack bid each round. And the way the game works is the player who has the most of a certain card, or who plays the most of a certain card, gets to do damage to a player of their choice minus the player who had the second most amount. So if I'm playing this and I played 3 attack cards and somebody else played 1, then 3 minus 1 is 2. I get to do 2 damage to another player. There's also Shadow Magic cards, which lets you do damage to other players. For example, this one lets you sacrifice a victory point and deal 2 damage to an opponent. Now, when a player is out of health cubes, they do not die. They instead get transformed into a Raven. And the Raven is a lot of fun to be, actually, and I like that the game doesn't have player elimination. So once you're a Raven, you can no longer win the game unless you get transformed back into a human. We're not going to go into how you do that, but just know that it is a lot of fun, and you get to kind of be this force of chaos, and you can even do damage to all the other players in some circumstances. So it's actually a lot of fun to be the Raven. Just want to very briefly touch on the importance of the magic cards in the game. They can very greatly change the outcome of the game through the manipulation of the rules, by adding cards to another player's hand, or doing direct damage to them, or stealing victory points. And if you'll notice down at the bottom of each these Shadow Magic on the left and Light Magic on the right cards, you'll see a black bit of text that has a Raven symbol and a special set of text. And these are actually for players who have been transformed into Ravens. At this point, you can no longer use the text at the top. You have to use the special abilities down at the bottom, and they can only be used by players who have been transformed into ravens. Welcome back, everybody. Now that we've seen what comes inside of Nevermore and seen a little bit about how it plays, let's talk about my final thoughts on the game. I really enjoy Nevermore, but then I really like drafting games. If you don't like drafting, you won't like Nevermore. But who doesn't like drafting? I mean, come on. The game is beautiful. I love the artwork on the cards. It's got almost a dark Dixit feel to it. Even though there are some cards in Dixit that are arguably pretty dark, these all feel kind of a fantasy, I don't know, just dark. They're just dark. It's just a dark looking game. The tiles that come with it are nice quality. The cards themselves are linen, so they're very high quality. I love the insert that comes inside of the box. I always appreciate whenever games spend that extra money, and I've looked into it. It's pretty expensive to make these custom inserts. It looks very nice. The game plays very well and very fluidly once a person knows how to play. If I had to say anything negative about Nevermore, it's the learning curve. And even though the learning curve isn't that bad, whenever I read the rules, I was like, I have no idea what I just read. It's one of those games that I had to play and apply what I read, and I had to consult the rule book a lot. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just couldn't read the book and make sense of it. I really had to see it in action. So I would say that it's a little bit more of a learning curve than other small box games. But again, the game is a lot of fun, definitely worth putting the effort into learning. Now, I ran Nevermore through the Flaming Dice Review scoring system, which scores a game based on 8 categories, including artwork, component quality, replayability, portability, and Nevermore scored an 87 out of 100, which is an above average game score. Definitely one to add to your collection. I highly recommend it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to share it, give it a like, comment below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, visit the website www.flamingdicereviews.com. We put all kinds of articles, videos, and reviews on there all the time. We have multiple writers, so please be sure to check it out. We sure would appreciate it, and I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.